Hello and welcome to the first part of the educational part of this channel, how to putt. It's a very important part, and when you try to play good, you need to make some putts. But let's get to the basics first. First of all, in putting, you want to take a good grip. In all the other shots, the grip, the right hand needs to be low, the hands are close together. But with putting, you can kind of do it what way you want to. For example, I putt with the left hand below the right hand. And that's just what I started doing, and I feel comfortable doing it. So next, you're gonna take a stance, and the ball is gonna be a little forward of the middle of the stance, just under your left eye. The eyes are gonna be over or just inside of the ball, and that's gonna be the basics for your putting. So when talking setup, aim with your feet just like in all other shots, just parallel to the target. Put the putter just down behind the ball, and the putter is going to be just forward of the middle, so just under your left eye, and the eyes are going to be just over or just inside the golf ball. If you want to check where your eyes are, you can take your club, take your stance. This is where the middle of the putter was aiming. Drop the ball from your eye. My eyes were here, so they were just inside of the golf ball, which is fine. There are many ways how you can grip a putter. You can either go with the classic right hand low. That would probably be where you want to start. You can go right hand low, but overlap one of the left fingers with the right hand. Or you can go left hand low, which is pretty popular. And many other ways, really. So when you're putting, you want to make sure that you move the club in a free and flowing motion. As a mental cue for your tempo while putting, you can use words like Coca-Cola or double bogey to make sure that your tempo is correct. So you're just going to stand over the ball and say in your head, Coca-Cola. And so you get a good feeling for if the backstroke was roughly the same speed and length as the follow-through. So there are a few different factors that are important when you talk about putting. First of all, the face angle at impact. So obviously when you hit the ball, you want it to aim at where you're trying to hit it. Second of all, the club path. So if you move from inside to the outside, from the outside to the inside, how you get to the ball. And the last thing is the speed. Those are the three factors that impact where your ball is going. While you want to get to the ball pretty neutral, the actual club path is not that important when putting. Much more important is the face at impact. If you hit a putt here and I come extremely from the inside, you can still hit it in the hole and it's going to start straight. Let's do the opposite way here. So as you can see, those are two extreme examples from cutting across it or coming at it from the inside. The ball has a little bit different spin, so the roll is not quite as pure, but they still start pretty straight at where the club face was aiming. You may have noticed that on the balls I was using, there was a black line on top of it, and that is one of the few helps you can use actually while you're playing. So I do use a line on the golf ball for putting. There's also on most golf balls, there is a line on there already, but I like to just use a little tool like this to put it over here and use a Sharpie. And now I got a much longer line on the golf ball, which will help me aim where the putter is supposed to aim. When we talk about using a line on the golf ball, many professionals on tour do use a line, and then others that don't. That's kind of like a personal thing. If that you think that helps you, or if it distracts you more a little bit. I think it's extremely helpful, especially from short distances, because from long distances, it's also a lot about pace control. But from short distances, it's a lot about where the ball starts. And having a line on the ball can make it much easier to aim properly and then start the ball on line. So when I personally use the line on the golf ball, I like to not put it down like this, but tilt it a little bit more this way, because now I can kneel down and I can see now the full line. I like to use the putter face, to then aim it right along the line, and now I can see much clearer where the line is aiming. That really helps me to have a much better picture of where the line is aiming exactly. And now I do the same. I step up, aim along the line, hit the putt. So to work in your putting, I would suggest you get a putting tool. That could be the putting mat that I'm having here right now. That could be the putting mirror, or any other tool where you have a line that shows you where you want to aim it, and then some sort of guidance where you want to put it through. So you get feedback if you aim correctly and if the ball starts on line. And if that's the case, if the pace is right, you're gonna make the putt. So as you can see on the putting mat that I'm using here right now, so I want to take the putter just inside of the line that's aiming towards the target, move through the ball, and move a little inside again. And depending on player preference, this line could be a little straighter to the actual target line or have a little more arc to it. Here I now get a setup of a string that's a little cheaper option than the putting mat over there. I don't even know what you call it in English, but spikes you can put in the ground, and then it's gonna stretch when you put it up. And those are also great to see if a putt is breaking. For example, here I got a right to left breaking putt, so I set the string up aiming just right of the hole, and I can easily make sure that my putter aims at that second spike. And now I got a perfect line over the ball aiming at that spike, and I can strike it right along it. So for distance control, you can use a drill using tees. So I got 6 tees set up at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 meters. And you can use 3 balls, and you're gonna try to hit the ball right in between the first and the second tee. So this one was just inside, a little too long. So hopefully I can adjust a little bit. It was also inside, but maybe a little short. So I'm gonna hit my third putt. And that is going to be also inside. And now that you have 3 balls inside the tees, you're going to move on and hit the same putts from here in between the second and third tee. And if you do that successfully, you move on to the next, and until you hit 3 putts into the second to the last tee, and then you complete the challenge. Another thing that you can do to improve distance control is when you warm up before a round, you can just drop the balls and try to putt to the edge of the greens. You're gonna solely focus on speed. This one is a little bit short, so let's give that one a little bit more. Also short. Let's hit our third putt. A little closer to the edge. As you can see, this one a little short. Now you're gonna take the balls and hit some putts that are a little longer and some that are a little shorter, and hopefully after a few minutes you dial in speed wise, and then you move on to some shorter putts. So another drill I like to use is a drill where you put 6 tees around the hole, and I like to use a hole that has a little bit of break on it, so you have some right to left breaking putts, some left to right breaking putts, and you're really gonna dial in your short putting. So you're gonna start here on, let's sit on this hole, try to make this. And once you made your putt, you're actually gonna move that tee back here 1 foot and continue with the rest of the holes. And if I make this, move that one back until you're 1 time all around. You can also play with a friend, and when you play with a friend, your friend is going to start on the opposite end and you're going to try to catch each other. So every time, like I just made my putt, and so I moved my tee back, and let's say I miss one putt here, oh no, then I get a second chance from here. I make that, but now I'm not able to move it back again. So I move here, and my friend, maybe he made 2 putts already, so he's a little bit closer to catching me. If you miss 3 putts in a row from one tee, then you actually have to move backwards. So obviously your opponent is about to catch you then. And yeah, sometimes those putts get pretty long, sometimes not, and it's a nice friendly competition. So in putting, just like in any other part of the game, it's really important to have a good routine. Let's hit my approach to here. I'm obviously gonna mark it, pick it up, and I like to look at the break from behind the hole. So I'm gonna kneel down here, have a look at it, see, all right, I think it's the left edge. So on putts where I'm not so sure, I like to step up, and let's see, here with my ball, and actually use my feet to see the break. So I go over the putt. It's important to not step on your own line or your opponent's line. See, okay, the putt is, I feel more weight in my right foot, so the slope must be angling from the left to right. It's also important to not do that right in front of the hole. You don't want to step too close to the hole. Once I figured out the break, I know there's a left edge putt, so I'm gonna put the ball down in front of my marker, step behind, check the line, that looks good. And now I like to do my practice strokes behind the ball, facing the ball. So I do 2 practice strokes, then I envision where the ball is gonna roll, step in, put the club right behind the ball, look at the hole 1 time, and hit the putt. As some of you might have noticed, every time I hit the putt, just before I hit the putt, I actually lift up the putt a little bit. That is because if you have the putter on the ground and then you drag it back, sometimes you get stuck in the grass a little bit. Sometimes, you know, the rhythm is not quite right. So I always like to step in, lift it up, and then hit the putt. All right, thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little educational session. I gave you a few drills and a few things to work on. Hopefully 1 or 2 of those things will help you in the future. And my cameraman told me to say like and subscribe.